What's up guys, welcome to another episode. I've got to head down to Bunnings so I can see if I can find some material to make this infill panel out of. I've had a bit of feedback about the lighting situation in some of the videos as well, so I have a bit of a poke around down there, see what I can find. I do work 8 till 5 during the day, so it is usually a bit darker in the workshop when I do get a chance to film this sort of stuff. Bit of insight on what I do for a day job. I work at one of our family owned Bridgestone stores. My younger brothers are over at the other one that we have. We do a bit of four-wheel drive gear as well, so I jump on the tools and help out when I have to. But anyway, enough about that. Let's get down to Bunnings. Let's get in there and have a look. Shed Valley. Little tree. Finished up at Bunnings, got all the supplies I need, so time to head back to the shop. Back from Bunnings, time to set up some lights, maybe make this a bit better for you guys to watch, see what we can get done. I ended up getting the stubborn nut off. I did have to drill it out in the end. It was a bit of a pain, but it is out now. What I'm going to do is drill a hole through there so I can get the battery ISO cable fed through. Not going to show you that stuff, it's pretty boring and it's pretty straightforward, but I want to be able to get the panel back on, so I'll do that next. Got the hole drilled ready for the battery ISO cable to go through. Now I realise some of you don't know what the ISO cable is when I'm talking about it. What it is this little T-handle sits outside the car and the other end here attaches to the ISO switch inside the car, so that if there's ever an emergency or I have an accident or crash, the emergency fellas can run over, yank on that cable and it will cut power to the car. More of a safety thing. Sparks, fuel obviously don't mix, so it's a pretty important piece of safety equipment to have on board on any track or race car. Got the battery ISO handle hooked onto the trim panel here, and the cable runs down into the cab. So I'll go around the other side and show you where that goes. Cable fed through into the car, it runs along. I'll tidy that up and pin it to something after. But the idea is that it runs through, hooks into and loops onto the switch there, the ISO switch. That way in an emergency situation, the ISO switch can be turned off from outside the car. Got a couple of little blanking grommets in there where the windscreen wipers came out, just a nice little touch. We'll stop a little bit of water getting trapped in there hopefully as well as it runs down the windscreen. Fix this panel down now, screw it back into place there. It'll be time to move on to the next part. The main thing on this side that I have to try and relocate is the fuel pressure reg. I'm going to try and move it across here closer to the fuel rail if I can. That should give me plenty of clearance when the exhaust has to come through. Undone the fuel pressure reg off the bracket there. I will have to shorten this line I think and move it over about that much just to tuck it away a bit more. Got to get it away from this header and also where the exhaust is going to run straight past here, so try and keep it out of the way of the heat as much as I can. Move the hose. I've got to trim it down a little bit and bring it across. Need to take about 90 mil off, which is going to make a quite short hose, but it only needs to be a bit of a tail, so that's fine. There we are, all shortened down, ready to go back on. Now that I've shortened down the fuel lines to the fuel pressure reg, I've got it in the spot that I reckon I'll need it. It should keep it well out of the way. All I need to do now is knock up a bracket, stop this bad boy flapping around, and should be good to go. Got the original bracket there, which I made back in the day out of alley. Lovely. I want to try and avoid drilling more holes in the firewall if I can. The fewer the better, I'm told. I've got this bit of flat bar here, which I'm going to try and make it come across on a bit of an angle. That way it makes use of the existing holes from the old bracket. I might be able to even get it done out of just one piece, saves having to bust out the welder and get too crazy with it. I reckon that's where I need to bend and roughly where I need to drill, so I'll do that and then use the other bracket as a template, see what happens. I've eyeballed where I think the holes are going to go, and not bad. The bracket's looking pretty munted. It doesn't have to look nice, it's just got to do its job. Nothing a bit of paint won't fix to cover up some of that fucking muntedness. Got my little bracket there all made up, painted up nice and, well, it's not that nice. I've just chassis blacked it, but it'll be fine. I'll bolt that into place now. have to ignore the spray paint on my arm and the cuts on my wrist. I'm not self-harming, don't worry guys. There we go, finished product, all mounted up, and she's not going anywhere. Not something I'd normally show on episodes like this, but there's something pretty cool in the workshop today, so let's go out and have a bit of a look. Here's a bit of a hint. It is a Ferrari 458 Spider, which we've previously fitted these air cups to, which we're still trying to get dialed in, but he's in today for a punch repair, which I've just done. Let's get it out of the workshop. Sure, he'll let me do a bit of a video, a bit of a feature on this once it's all sorted. He's got a few more bits and pieces to do. So I've moved the fuel pressure reg now. I'm going to have a bit of a go at this infill panel with the alley and see if I can make that work. And then once I've done that and pretty happy with it, I reckon I'll pull the other side apart and get ready to start cutting some holes. So my thinking and idea is to use the current plastic infill panel as a template, lay that out on the alley, and then it will give me a pretty good idea of a cut to shape. And then once I've done that, the plastic is holding its curve pretty good, so that should hopefully give me a bit of an idea on how much of a curve I'll need on the alley as well. I'll use this as my template. Got the alley cut out. I'll put the holes in it, pop rivet it on, and then put it into place. So I've had a bit of a think about it and a chat with one of my mates. I might just use the alley sheeting as a backing, a bit of a heat shield on the back of the plastic. By the time I put some reflective tape on there and heat wrap the exhaust, I think it'll be alright. I don't think it's going to melt. I'll run it up first, so after I've fitted it all, and then it's going to melt, it's going to do it then. Now I will get the infill panel, the alley, which is going to act as a heat shield, sandwich that in behind the fender mount, and do a bit of a time lapse, so hopefully it's all done soon. There we go, all pop riveted up. Not the nicest looking, but it certainly does the job. Once I flick a bit of paint over the top of it, it's hardly noticeable at all. But it gives you a bit of an idea on why I've got the pop rivets there. Certainly easier than glue, and I can undo that if need be later down the track. Next thing will be putting on some heat tape. Got some heat shield tape there. I'll slap it on. Pretty happy with the way it's turned out. Got the heat tape on the back there. I'm sure once I go to form it, it'll form on there quite well. I'll put this aside for now, and I'll probably start breaking down the other fender and other side of the car. So I just had to go at a time lapse on the head mount to see taking the fender off. You either just saw that then, or you won't see it because it turned out crap. Anyway, the fender is off. There's a few random cables here that I don't even remember what they were for. This fender's never been off. The other side has definitely seen some action, so it's been on and off a few times, repairing it, whatnot. Crashes happen. The next thing will be to cut this skin out here, box it all in, get ready for the exhaust to come through and make a bit more room for it. So I'll jump onto that next.